Now, during this last section of Keep Your Cash, we're going to talk about best practices. Now, it's important to kind of learn from all the different businesses that are out there and what you can do to improve your overall quality of business and keep as much cash as possible. And so as we look at this, I'm going to give you a number of different things that you can do into your business. Now, the beautiful thing about Primerica is that we give you a foundation to build your business to some extent however you want. You can pick and choose what pieces that you want to do it. But every decision you make as a business owner has risks and reward. You might have say, hey, I don't want to do this part of this. I don't want to add this tool into my business. But knowing that you might not add that tool could actually impact your overall business and how profitable you are. So as I lay out some options before you, look at it as a business owner to say, hey, are there things that I need to add into my business that actually could make a difference in my overall profitability as a business owner? Now, the first thing is, let's talk about great client experience. We've talked about this a number of times through this series, but you have things at your fingertips that can really improve a client experience. And so the first thing is you can use an F&A. This is an incredible tool that adds value. Now, a number of times I know somebody will say, Steve, I don't get paid for F&As. I might be able to change the way you feel about that in just a few seconds here. You might want to diversify your product offerings, being able to bring to client solutions or securities. We'll talk about that one. All the ways that you can be able to make sure your client feels good. But one of the biggest things, it's simple. Follow up and follow through. Man, this is so key about client experience. You need to make sure that your client feels good, that they've been communicated with, that there's nothing outstanding. Something that's key in so many pieces of business, you need to have a good follow-up system and making sure everybody's following through on their commitments. But let's talk a little bit about that F&A usage for a second. You know, one of the things that I've looked at before is how can we show the effects of an RVP who uses F&As compared to an RVP who doesn't use F&As. And so we ran some studies real quick and we looked at it and we said, okay, let's look at RVP usage of F&A and see what their persistency rates are by kind of quartiles to say, okay, the first group is RVPs who use F&As 75 to 100% of the time. And it's a simple calculation. Number one is that we only used RVPs that did a 10,000 hour base shop, right, or above. And then we looked at it to say how many applications and how many F&As did we see, right? And if you were 75% to 100% of the time, the average persistency rate for that group was 87.75. That's a big number. But notice how the usage of F&A, when it drops inside of a business, look what it does to the persistency rate. RVPs who use it 50 to 74%, it drops a little bit. RVPs who only use it 25 to 49% drops again. But RVPs who don't really use it at all, there's almost a 3-point difference in their persistency rate. That's a big deal. You have the opportunity to say, hey, do I want to put an F&A in just to improve my persistency experience? Now, the second thing is we did this same study and we looked at it from an investment standpoint, for a securities standpoint, and looked at how often somebody had an investment sale as the same number of life insurance sales. And we did the same thing, 10,000 hour base shops or above. We wanted to make sure that we understood how many sales, from a life app counting to against an investment. I have no idea if it was the same client, but it's the overall philosophy inside the base shop. RVPs who sold investments to the same number of life apps, their persistency was 89%. That's incredible. 50% to 99% is 88%. 25 to 49% drops down to 86%. And RVPs who really don't sell securities in 82.98%. Once again, this is a tool that you can look at and say, do I want to add investments? And it might not even be, I have to do it for everybody, but can I increase it? Can I make that as a part of my business philosophy to talk to my clients more about this? A couple other best practices is quality control, right? Really saying as a business owner, do you have the controls in your business to make sure you're doing everything possible to make sure it's the best quality business? The first thing I would tell you is this, is making sure your agents are getting a 2-year commitment. We're at strong commitment at the kitchen table. The second thing is a quality phone call, meaning that when the application comes in, before the application goes to home office inside of VBS, you stop it. You make an outbound phone call, you talk to the client, you build a rapport, you connect with them, and then you continue to communicate until the policy is issued. These little things can make up a huge difference. The last thing is making sure you're leveraging all the tools. Whether that's Life Manager, the Conservation Report, Persistency Report, you're looking at all the other reports out there that might be able to help your business. These are all key pieces to be able to make sure you're doing everything possible to have the most profit as a business owner. Now, the real question is, as we wrap up, is are you truly focused on making sure you're leveraging every tool to make the most profit as possible? The hardest thing that you might have to do walking away from this series is challenge yourself. Are you really focused on making profit? Are you caught up just and focused on making production? Remember, our goal is to help ensure families not just submit applications. Help us do the right job by making sure we not only submit applications, but we get policies in force that clients get to keep. So not only do they protect their families, but you get to keep all your cash.